कौन कौन से चार की बात कर रहे हो?
वही पांच एक्चुअली, हार्वर्ड, ऑक्सफोर्ड, किंग्स, ट्रिनिटी एंड दिल्ली यूनिवर्सिटी ना सर, वहाँ तो आपने पढ़ाया है मुझको। या सो
हम्म,
आई डिड वन सेमेस्टर जब मैं किंग्स में था, सो आई डिड वन
हम्म,
सेमेस्टर एट ट्रिनिटी।
अच्छा अच्छा, एक मिस्टर यहाँ से किया था, अच्छा।
हाँ, बिकॉज जो डेजिटेशन वाला सेमेस्टर था उसमें जो न्यूरो साइंस की लैब थी वो ट्रिनिटी कॉलेज की इज मच मच बेटर। सो
अच्छा।
दे asked me to do some clinical rotation. वहाँ वेट लिस्ट थी लंदन में, बिकॉज there too many people and I wanted to finish it in 2 years. So they said, अब अपना clinical rotation you can do it at Trinity. I said, okay, fine. It was good. It was very nice. I had a good time. बारिश बहुत होती है सर, आपको बारिश मिली?
हाँ, बारिश हमें अभी धूप मिल रही है जो है, तो वी आर एबल टू। हमारे आने से पहले बारिश खूब हुई है, अभी जब से
I
हम
know.
आए तब से वी आर गेटिंग सनलाइट।
Very good, sir. You brought the sunlight with you. Dublin should be grateful to you. I remember, मतलब जिस दिन सनलाइट होती थी ना, रेन नहीं होती थी, इट वाज रियली लाइक किसी का काम करने का मन नहीं करता था।
हाँ, वो बताया यहाँ पे लोगों ने, पार्क भर जाते हैं, समुद्र भर
एग्जैक्टली
जाता
exactly.
है।
नहीं
हम
सर,
देख रहे
क्लास
हैं पिछले।
क्लास कैंसिल हो जाती थी सर, मतलब इट वाज दैट बैड। क्लास वुड कैंसिल।
रिकॉर्डिंग शुरू हो गई है। 5:59 हो गया। हम्म, अनुराग जी has also joined। हाँ जी।
Evening to everybody.
हाँ, गुड इवनिंग, गुड
गुड इवनिंग
इवनिंग।
सर।
Very good evening.
So it is 6 p.m. now. We can start.
Yes, yes. Good evening, esteemed professors, distinguished guests, and honored participants. It is with great pleasure and pride that I welcome you all to this 23rd online interactive session organized by Delhi School of Professional Studies and Research, an institution committed to academic excellence and leadership development. At DSPSR, we believe in creating the opportunities that bridge the gap between academic learning and real world corporate insights. Today's session, Leadership Development, is a testament to that mission. We are confident that this session will empower each one of you with valuable insights and practical strategies to grow as a professionals and leaders. I, Dr. Mukta Katyal, extend a warm welcome to our Dr. Leo Rastogi ji sir, our session speaker, and Professor Anurag Singh sir, anchor of the session, joining us today to share their insights and their experiences. We welcome you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's an absolute honor to be here.
Thanks. Before moving further, we shall proceed with the lamp lightning, a tradition that symbolizes the dispelling of darkness and awakening of knowledge. May the light of learning continue to guide us on our path to growth and leadership. Now I request a technical team to kindly play the video. Thank you, Arunji. Thank you so much. Now it's a time to welcome our guest. We are honored to welcome Dr. Leo Rastogi ji sir. Currently, he is the co-founder of 6 companies gifting well-being to the world. Minerva Health Ventures, Anatha Group means Golden Heart, IAM.world, Wellbeing at Work, Soul Spring, Medical Clinics Worldwide, CMI, Astric Mystery School, and we gained CE and FDA approved bioresonance diagnostic and therapeutic technology. Dr. Leo is a rare blend of thought leader, author, successful entrepreneur, philosopher, mindfulness mentor, monk, and spiritual scientist. Dr. Leo is an alumnus of Harvard Business School with a PhD in leadership. Dr. Rastogi also studied psychological and neurobiological basis of mindfulness and meditation at Oxford University and King's College. He also briefly lived as Buddhist monk, abandoned to his multiple monastic sabbatical. On this path, he explored ancient spiritual traditions, researched world culture and philosophy, and examined world religions, studied historic sciences, quantum physics, and abstract mathematics. Over 2 decades, Dr. Leo traveled to 70 plus countries, immersed himself in monastic experiences, led retreat in the birthplace of great civilization, and studied with enlightened masters, an experience he cherished most in his life, much of which he has synthesized in his two critical acclaimed books. First one, Many Paths, Many Truth, a journey through world religions that have shaped the 20th century humanity. And the second one is I Am Discovery Your Beautiful Self, an avid researcher practitioner in the space of conscious leadership. He is widely sought out to lead retreats and speak to audience worldwide about the synthesis of science and spirituality, particularly on the subject of mindfulness and meditation. So we are honored by your presence and we look forward to gain from you. It's an honor to have you, sir, on the stage. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much, Dr. Katya. That was a rather long and embarrassing introduction, especially being introduced on the platform DSPSR. That was, I must say, I have never felt more out of place. Imagine being introduced in an institution where you started your journey, and that part is missing from your bio. So thank you very much. You have been very kind.
Thank you so much, sir. Now, I would like to extend a warm welcome to Professor Anurag Singh, sir. Dr. Singh is a distinguished academic leader with over 20 years of teaching and 6 years of corporate experience. He currently serves as a director at the Institute of Business Management, GLA University. His prior roles include professor and dean academics at the University of Sri RAK campus, UAE, and Jaipuria Institute of Management, Jaipur. He earned his PhD in finance from Jamia Millia Islamia, New Delhi. His industry experience spans Career Launcher, Ashok Leyland Finance, and IGNU. Dr. Singh has participated in international academic programs at institutions such as University of Applied Sciences, Switzerland, University of Liverpool, UK, Regent's Business School, South Africa. He is an AICT UKIERI Fellow and holds a Level 5 certificate in management and leadership from the UK Chartered Management Institute. A strong advocate for innovation in management education, he regularly delivers expert talk and workshop on finance, merger and acquisition, and geopolitical trends. He has trained professionals from Maruti Suzuki, Tata Motors, NTPC, ICAI in area including corporate taxation, forex, and financial risk management. Sir, your valuable presence adds a greater strength to this today's event. We welcome you, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you for introduction and thank you for having me. And it's my honor, rather, feeling very privileged to be on this platform auditing a session. And thank you to DSP sir for having me once again.
Thank you so much. I again extend a warm welcome to our esteemed speaker, our respected faculty members, and most importantly, all our participants. Your presence here reflects your commitment to learning and personal growth. Now, I would like to hand over the session to Professor Anurag Singh, sir. Sir, please.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Mukta. And so, very hearty welcome, Dr. Leo Rastogi. And I was going through the brief profile which you have put on a LinkedIn. And right from a successful entrepreneur, author, thought leader, spiritual scientist, mindfulness mentor, lived as a Buddhist monk, also a C-suite executive, and you founded so many global ventures. Probably, except for the space science, we haven't left anything, in fact, which probably we can think of. So my first of all, greetings to
Thank you.
you to join
Thank you
as
very
you
much.
joined us in this leadership development program organized by the DSPSR, and a wonderful say conversation I'm foreseeing. And to begin with, because broadly the most of the introduction has been made by Dr. Mukta, so I would be coming straight to some heart-to-heart conversation, and I'm very sure that probably there will be a lot of takeaways for everybody, all the members of the audience, and including myself. Right. So when I saw your whole profile, so what was something very common, which I really say cherish, that you come from the family of the academics, and your both parents, they were the professors in university, and even I mean you have a lot of some academic thing has been rubbed over you, and I see that you have been to the very coveted universities like the Harvard and the Oxford and the King's College. So I would ask you that how these early influences of the parenting from coming from your parents' side that has shaped your basically the vision of learning as well as then later on leadership.
So, thank you, Professor Singh. And it is wonderful to see you after, I think, what's been probably a decade and a half, and very, very honored to
Thank you.
have this interaction with you. Um, I I think perhaps the most foundational in my life has been my early years were always spent in company of teachers. First, I was born in a family of teachers. My father retired as a professor of history, and my mother retired as a professor of political science. So what that meant is that it was a very academic environment growing up. My father's PhD students were regular guests staying in our house. Books were everywhere. Toys were not that easy to convince parents to buy, but there was an unlimited supply of books because I could go to my mother's libraries. You know, my mother was in a different university, my father in different. My father was at Warwick University, and my mother was in a constituent college. So, an unlimited supply of books. So there was a lot of curiosity. But I think the most important thing looking back at is one was focus on academics. So there was a very, I guess, a very Indian, very Asian parenting style that, studies mattered most, everything else came secondary. That did create an initial motivation, and then the joy of learning takes over. So initially, it was more like parents telling you have to get good grades, so you study, and then you realize, wow, learning can be fun. And if it can be fun, then why not? It's a good and it's a extremely enriching experience because your mind expands with new ideas. You look at the world differently when you have some frameworks to think from. So that was extremely, extremely enriching. And my entire family, more or less, has been of teachers. All my uncles on my father's side are teachers, and an aunt also. And um, um, my uncle, as in my aunt's husband, is also a teacher. So on my father's side is 100% teachers. And then on my mother's side, except for one of her brothers who went into the corporate world and worked with the Birlas, everybody else was teacher. My grandmother, that's my father's mother,
Oh.
Dadi, was also a teacher.
It's all
So
in a genes then I think
yes, yes, yes. So it was
no
genetic.
surprise, I would
It
say.
was it was absolutely, absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely genetic. That was one. And then second, I was so that was one intrinsic motivation. But it didn't end there. I was very, very fortunate that when I left home and I came to Delhi to study. And I met Professor Singh, of course. I mean, another very important part of the whole introduction that perhaps one of the most major shaping influences in my life has been missed out. So I will take this opportunity
Mhm.
to add that very important part of the profile. So, precisely 3 months after, I landed in Delhi to pursue my undergraduate education, and I was blessed to meet Professor Singh he came as a visiting professor at my college, and that was again the continuation of the journey. I had just left home of teachers and landed in a new city for my education, and I found a new family. And then under the mentoring of Dr. Jay, it was an absolutely amazing experience. He was the first one to give me an opportunity to work in the corporate world in the sense of the first ever professional assignment I did in my life. First two, actually, not the first one. The first two were actually literally served on a platter to me by Professor Ajay. I still remember the Y2K compliance for North Delhi Pathology Clinic. I mean, it seems so far away in the history, having been in the tech industry for a decade and a half, and then taking Delhi Stock Exchange online. They were early shaping experiences. Um, Also, I started my career as a teacher, actually, my professional career, and as a visiting speaker at DSPSR, by the way. I
Mhm.
still remember my first talk was actually on e-commerce and how it will shape the future. It was at the Paryavaran Complex um, campus at that time, and it was in the evening at 5 p.m. It was the first ever, I would say, academic lecture I gave in my life. And since then, I mean, I have taught at Stanford, I've taught at Harvard, I've taught at many other places, but the journey really started there. So to sum it up, I think I have been blessed to be born in a family of teachers. I've been super blessed to have been mentored by absolutely amazing teachers that I have met along the journey, including some Britharians and monks and everybody else. So, so that really has shaped curiosity, love of learning, humility of knowing very little because there is so much to know. So it's never, no matter how much you learn, you just have gratitude for what you've learned and humility for what you have not. And then I think the most important thing is also to share because the most rewarding thing you can do in your life is to pass on the light, whatever little you accumulate. Everything else comes to pass. The real legacy is any new knowledge you create, and more importantly, any lives that you influence. So that has been my journey, sir.
Yeah, nice to have this understanding. So, of course, the Professor Ajay Singh, he has been instrumental in mentoring a lot of people, shaping their
Yes,
career. So, a lot of
absolutely.
thanks goes to him. And
And not only career, also, worldview. For me, from him, I learned how to balance pragmatic entrepreneurial ability. I mean, people don't really appreciate as much how entrepreneurial he is because
yeah,
he's
yeah,
such
yeah.
an academic. Say he's such a stalwart in the world of academia that I mean, it befalls me to bring it to light that I also learned from him how to that entrepreneurship is possible without compromising on values. The ability to have values and integrity at the center of what you do, creating empowered teams. So I think I learned more from him about leadership. I mean, some research questions that I eventually pursued in my
Yeah.
doctorate actually came from my experience with him.
I will come to that point. I mean, we can continue and we can make it big without compromising to our value system.
Right,
Right.
right.
And of course, Professor Singh is very entrepreneurial in nature. I know today he is in Ireland and still he's joining here. I mean, that's off to them. So I really like the phrase you used. Twice you
Yes,
used, but you used the two different words. Initially, you said the joy of learning, and later on you
yes,
said love of a learning. So that
yes,
describes you and your say the whole
yes.
value proposition and the value system in a very nice way. So one another interesting thing I just learned about you that you featured on the covers of a few magazines, and then you also founded many say the global tech companies. Then you even made exit out of it. So, what the personal philosophy you have towards this life, and which keeps you moving, and probably because these are very different thing, and getting easy maybe little, getting into that maybe little easier, but
Yeah.
leaving everything and just coming out of that and
Yeah.
starting something very new. I mean, it
Yeah.
is not normally we hear about, or it's
Yeah.
not an often heard story, I would say.
Yeah. Um, Let me preface it by this saying that life is a journey of discovery. So it unfolds, and one of the most beautiful things about life is you do not know what's in the next chapter. I mean, you don't know what's in the next chapter. It's very unpredictable as well. So, from my perspective, I have really chosen to pursue life as a student, as a curious explorer, and making the best of what comes by. So, life philosophy professing has evolved over time. Throughout the 20s, it was about innovation and 0 to 1, creating something from scratch. A lot driven by the entrepreneurial fire, the Indian middle class aspiration, sense of responsibility, and the desire to break out of the mold, right? So there's only so much finite time you have. Especially then, the decades of early 2000s were like that. So I think a lot of tech entrepreneurship came from there.
Yeah.
And by the way, SHI Consulting Group was the first, I would say. And again, as a sister organization of DSPS, I was the first platform in which I learned how to build teams, learned to how to deliver customer value, capture some of the value. However, when I was on that journey, I had some life-altering experiences with which I realized that there are different levels of purpose. First level of purpose is what I would call a personal purpose, which is a little bit, I don't want to say it's selfish, but it's still a little bit self-centered. I want to do this. So first part of my life was driven by, I want to do this because I thought that was valuable. I think it was value creating. Um, and then I suddenly realized that very few people are fortunate enough to have access to time, talent, and resources. So the sense of purpose shifted from I want to do this to that needs to be done, right? So there's a gap in the ecosystem, there's a gap. It's a world problem, somebody has to solve it. Then why not me? I mean, and it's not even a question of solving it anymore as much as it is about building the bridge, however far you can, because most of the things that today we take for granted were solved by others. So life philosophy shifted slightly into not what I want, but what wants me. What's the best use of my time, talent, enterprise, and energy? So I took on projects that were complicated and complex. I mean, building clinics for healthy people, so that they don't get sick is very counterproductive, right? Very counterintuitive. Um, Taking on the challenge of building a bridge between ambidextrous innovation with building scale on in performance, right? Especially in on the mental health side. That was, or they were all problems that I saw in the world, right? And I still have other stuff that I'm doing, but at the core of everything I've done has been this is a gap, this is a problem for humanity. What can you do? Of late, I think, especially after I lived as a Buddhist monk, I think the vision expanded slightly differently. By the way, I've lived as a Buddhist monk and also as an Orthodox monk, as well as in Vitiora. I trained as a Sufi dervish, but the war started, so I had to leave from Turkey and I came back to the US. But I
Okay.
was studying Sufism in Antalya at that time.
Okay.
Um,
Great.
Now it became more about it's not even what needs to be done. It's like what would last as an institution, something that would become a platform for other people to solve problems. So philosophy of life has been basically that what can you do to create value that will last the longest period of time. I summarize it by saying what can you do that make the greatest impact to the largest number of people and last the longest period of time. And through that filter come projects, companies, institutions, ventures, everything.
Oh, wonderful. So, Norman, let me tell you something. Uh, so, I don't know where I read it, but way back, in fact, I was just trying to figure out how we will describe education. And there was a very interesting definition. It came out that probably this is the mechanism by which the innate ability of any individual, right, that is basically brought out in order to optimize his utility or her utility for himself as well as for the
The
society.
society,
And probably you are totally, I mean, measuring up to that level of expectation. So
yeah.
wonderful. But it is really a big, big transition. See, from
Yeah.
a C-suite kind of a corporate,
Yeah.
say, job, and then going to the monastery. And just now you mentioned that even you ventured into the Sufism also. So what was driving you, in fact?
Yeah.
I mean, either
Yeah.
you must have made billions of money, dollars, and probably you thought there is enough for me. I need not to worry for my next seven generations would be very, very thankful and grateful
Yeah.
to me. And now let me pursue some other, say,
Yeah.
ventures or other
I,
things.
I, I don't necessarily see, sir, this as too much of a transition. I mean, let me think. See, every entrepreneur in his core is basically has a philosophy, is looking at from the lens of this is a problem I need to solve. This is a way to think about it. Philosophy is the world of ideas. Philosophy, yeah. Philo is the love, Sophia is the knowledge. Philosophia. So for me, what I did in my entrepreneurial ventures was also pretty philosophical in nature. My first company was an open source software powerhouse, which basically was access to software should be democratized, right? And digitalized. However, when I exited, this was a very important cycle of my life that, the traditional middle class aspirations were complete. My parents were happy that it's very important for Indian children for their parents to be happy with what they did. They were not so happy about my early life choices, about what I pursued with education or how I started. They were not as happy. So I realized at that point, after the exit of the first company, and knock on wood, it was a good exit. I said, okay. So now that I don't have to do anything, I have checked the boxes per se. What truly intrigues me, what truly interests me, what am I really passionate about? And I said, there are four lenses with which I have looked at life in different ways. So there's a lens of science. I have spent enough time in that. Science tries to have a reductionist, predictive meaning of phenomena of life and everything we see in the world.
Okay.
There is philosophy, which is not about finding the right answer, but asking the right questions and developing new ideas. There is the lens of religion, which is a dogma, which is boundary bound. It has all the perfect answers and the only true answers in that sense. And then there is the lens of spirituality, which is experiential in nature, your own experience there. Now, I need to find some sort of a synthesis amongst them to
Mm.
see why they don't interact with each other as richly as you would. And I am not a believer of operating purely from theoretical knowledge. I think that's the entrepreneur in me, that to talk about something is not, I mean, you can never describe the taste of mango. So I said, okay, I'm going to first live that lifestyle because only with an immersion will I know what that world is like. So when you live as a Buddhist monk, you have no cell phone, your name is changed, you don't have any relationships, your vows include that you have given up family and everything else, and you have two pairs of clothes. One you wear, the other one you wash and dry. And you beg for food and you take whatever is given
You
and you
did
live.
this all?
I did it all. I did it all. And so that teaches you that you need nothing in life to be happy. And nothing is very difficult to find, so that nothing, the ability to have that freedom from, it's one thing to study karma yoga, right? There is another thing to actually be able to give away and everything, and then to be able to see what's left for you after you've given away your title, your career, your name, your religion, you've given away your personal affects, you've given away your relationships. Everything is stripped dry except for who you are deep down. And that helps you understand really. So that was a formative experience. And when I said, okay, I had many realizations during that process. This interview is too short to talk about it. My fourth book talks a lot more about this. I was asked to write that for that purpose. Um, but I came out, and that realization told me that entrepreneurship is in expression of you. It's not who you are. I'm not an entrepreneur. I have one self-expression, professional, as an entrepreneur, but that's not who I am. I have a car. I'm not the car. I have a house. I'm not the house. Similarly, I have an entrepreneurial self-expression. I'm not that. So that then allowed
I
me to
hope you have
expand.
a Ferrari then.
Unfortunately, I don't think so because another thing that I learned is
Monk with a
uh,
Ferrari. Probably this would be another bestseller.
I don't know. I don't actually, but I'm not a big believer. I mean, I know Robin for several years now. He's a good friend. We have spoken together on many
Hey,
conferences.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
stayed in my house in January this year, so I know him quite well. But point being, I realized that when I was teaching at DSPs, catching the bus 985 from Pitampura to land to the Paravaran complex, I was happy. I rang the bell on London Stock Exchange. I was on cover of Inc. and Forbes. I was happy. Did not change anything. The happiness did not elevate very much. I mean, between these two was not much difference. By the way, and then I mean, God has been very kind. I have had very good experiences in life. I mean, I've mentored president of countries. So none of that changes. It does not. I mean, there can be a momentary up and down, but your baseline is your baseline.
Yeah.
So baseline does not change. You always come back. There's a lot of evidence of that, also hedonic adaptation, that your baseline always comes back to the same. So for me, it point of that time was, how do you build more purpose into life rather than pursuit? How do you spend a day doing everything that it was the last day of your life, you wouldn't change it? How would you integrate that kind of purpose into your life, that even if you don't fulfill it, I mean, if in giving away attachment of succeeding at what you do was very difficult to learn. And once that clicked in place, with that, okay, it's very easy to, Gita says, karmanye vadikaraste ma phalishu kadachana. Or I remember from DS Pesa's logo, yoga karmasu kaushalam, right? So, but to live it is another experience, that sense of space and freedom to be able to do the right thing, because you're not attached to, you have to succeed at this. You just have to try your best. And in the process, new experiences will come. So that shaped my second half of my career. So there's the education, then there's the tech, sort of personal validation, ringing the stock exchange bell, realizing that it's the same thing. Dal chawal before it, dal chawal after it, nothing changed. Did not change my car, did not change my house. Still wear $20 shirts. Nothing changed. So I said, okay, then there's got to be more to life. Then you have to use the blessing of life for a purpose. So that really was, Anuragji, the shift. And as a student, all the monastic residences and other stuff that I did were as a student. How do you go in there with devotion to the joy of learning, not devotion to the religion? So you go in for the experience, you go in for the growth, you go in as a curious explorer. That what can I, how can I become a better human being as a Sufi? How can I become a better human being as a Greek Orthodox monk? Or how can I, or other things that I did.
It's
So
more like
not
an inner calling, right?
Yes, inner calling. And I think, I mean, I would not to sound pretentious, but I would say, we are always on the treadmill of life, running very fast towards our goals. And many times we are getting nowhere in finding ourselves. So
Yeah.
sometimes in life we have to place in Spanish we call it rajale chico, which means take a chill pill, to press a pause and experience the world, how wonderful it is. So I think that was really helpful. Inner calling was there since a childhood. I had a near-death experience when I was 12. That's how my journey in meditation started.
Mhm.
I had realized in that process that the body is just a temporary vehicle. I was outside the body, looking on to my body and seeing the doctors working on it. So I was already curious. I was already meditating since I was 14. So this was sort of a logical. It's like I no longer was in the rat race, in the sense of realizing that even if you win in the rat race, you're still a rat logged inside the race. So that was helpful.
I think a lot of a credit goes to a very purposeful parenting happened from your parents, right?
Yes,
Because if you experience all these things so early, so of course a lot of training and observation you must have been
and
observing.
teachers, yeah, parents and teachers both, yeah,
It must have shaped your, say, the thought process. So
absolutely.
wonderful. And listening to you when you were saying that even you have to go and seek the food also when you were in a monastery. So I think I heard somewhere that it is said that the best thing of a life comes for free. For rest you have to pay, right? So
Yes, yes.
it's like
That
that.
that's actually very true. One of the Buddhist edicts is
Mm.
everything you need for life is free.
Yeah.
Everything you want in life is free.
Oh,
So air in your lungs, the sunshine, the water in the river, and food from the trees is all free.
Yeah.
Now, when you want a cell phone
The
and when you
needs and
want
the
a
wants
car,
probably.
then yes, exactly. So
It's like,
everything. So as a Buddhist monk, you have everything you need, and you want nothing. That's the idea. That everything you need is provided for, and why you don't miss anything is because if you miss something, it's coming from wanting, from the tanha, the craving mind. I want this. I want that. Very well said, Professor Singh.
yeah.
Very well said.
So one interesting
Yeah.
thing. Let's move ahead. So I
Yeah.
even see, and I got a chance. I was lucky enough to visit many places, different countries. So and but your score is your tally is pretty high. You moved to 75 plus countries.
Actually, it's 90 plus now, but
90
this
plus
must
now.
be an old
Okay, the
bio
number keeps
at
on
some point.
ticking.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's great. And studied a lot of us say ancient wisdom, and you lived with the very enlightened masters and the
Mhm.
mentors. So
Mhm.
so how basically these all experiences, meeting people, new culture, and in our whatever conversation we made so far,
Mhm. Mhm.
I'm very say sure that you may be having
Mhm.
you may be speaking multiple languages, right?
Yes.
Or at least you may be having a good hand in that. So how it has helped you to shape say the who is Dr. Leo Rastogi?
Yes. I mean, Dr. Rastogi is a name, I mean, it wasn't the name when I was in India, and it had to be shortened. So it's a label. But how it has shaped me, I would say very humbling experience, right? See, when you grow up in such a diverse culture like India, I think I was very blessed that, your neighbor is a Muslim, your best friend is a Sikh, and your teachers are from other religion. My mother is a Jain, my father is a non-believing Hindu. So very interesting upbringing in that sense. Going to different cultures, you understand that you have a lens to life, which has been this is so there is no is life, there is no fixed life, there is no fixed world. You look at it from the lens of your experiences, your values, your beliefs, your upbringing, etc. When you meet people that have a completely different upbringing and beliefs, etc., for you, their worldview is very invalid or challenging, right? It seems so particularly, right? And for them, you are very weird, right? In that sense. And I had some of those experiences. I mean, traveling through, I mean, this is pre-internet, traveling through Hungary, I mean, the kind of countries I've been to, Chad. I mean, it's not all only Europe, I mean, Chad is one country I've been to. As an Hindu Indian, I even went to Pakistan, by the way, to see what that world is like. So I think it humbles you to see that you don't have a ownership of necessarily, copyright of all the wisdom. There's tremendous
Exactly.
wisdom in other systems. I mean, I studied the wisdom of the ancient Egyptians, the Coptic people, Coptic Christians, and I went through that whole Nubian valley from Egypt to Ethiopia and to Libya and all of that. It was amazing to find inscriptions there from 11,000 BC. I found places in
11,000 BC.
yes, sir, 11,000 BC. I went to Göbekli Tepe in Turkey and traveled through that 9,000 BC. I mean, and then we think about East owns all the ancient wisdom, and then you
Yeah.
end up in the Slavic countries in Ukraine, and you are going through the Dnipro River, and you arrive on the other side of Dnipro River, and you find a skeleton sitting in yoga pose from allegedly 14,000 BC, according to carbon dating. It really humbles you. It first breaks your Hindu pride at
Broadens
some level.
your thinking, right?
Huh?
So it broadens your thinking
Yeah,
because
yes. First it breaks your Hindu pride. I have to admit that, and then you become okay. What was the world like then, and how have we got to where we are, right? And then you suddenly expand your horizon a little bit, and you give up your hat of a believer, and you take on the hat of a student and a scholar, and that's where the growth begins differently because you're not looking to validate what you already know through an experience, right? And that really fueled my journey to so many countries because so many different cultures, so many different philosophies, so many different belief systems, immersing in their food. And I'm a vegetarian, so it's not always been as easy, but immersing in the food, immersing in languages. I have colleagues today in my companies where my partners are Mexicans, Germans, Swiss, Japanese, Koreans, American, of course. Yeah, I mean, my board of directors has only one more Indian. Other than that, most of my board members are non-Indian. So it truly it helps you see that there is a lot more to world than the little ecosystem that you live in, and it lets you have those joys, right? So there are things that people get joy from doing in other parts of the world that you don't, because you did not grow up like that. So I was able to do many things and see what that's like. I mean, I've done glacier camping. Not many people in India. That's not really a sport, right? But for Austrians and for Swiss, that's like a easy thing to do glacier camping, like really overnight camping on a glacier under the sky, traveling from Mongolia to Russia, on a horseback.
Okay.
And to navigate by the stars, and for people to be able to smell the earth and tell you which is the right direction without using a
Oh,
compass.
great.
It really humbles you. In Peru, I have seen, oh, you need rains. I have seen the shamans bring the clouds together and make it rain, which is the Indra Sutra that we study about in the Vedas. I have seen them literally do it to bring that, like literally do it, to bring it together and rain. So it's just incredible how and humble is one part. The other thing is, you feel like a child because everything is so new.
So,
Uh, there's that curiosity like a 2 year old. Oh, what is this? What is this? What is this? And that's really, really fun. So, yeah, so that's been an amazing experience. And yes, I did end up having to learn other languages. Spanish, German, little bit of Portuguese. I will get better at it. Some Italian, but yeah.
yeah, so I think no doubt. In fact, when there's a love for the language, maybe must have made a lot of friends also from these part of.
Yes, yes, yes. I did.
Yeah.
Very blessed to have good friends in many countries.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now let's come to something which you represent. In fact,
Mhm,
throughout your career, you have been demonstrating it without any pause about the leadership, right? And
mhm,
you often speak about the conscious leadership, right?
mhm,
And
mhm.
how this is very different from a traditional leadership,
Yeah, yeah,
and how
yeah,
you will make it simple for the sake of students and other people who are listening to
yeah,
you.
yeah, yeah. Sure. I mean, the 1 million things I can say about it, but let me pick carefully. Because remember, Professor Singh, you will appreciate this more. My first doctorate was on leadership, no? So there's obviously, you have so much point of view about it. I think there are 40,000 books that come out every 5 years about leadership, okay? And nobody still has a clue. That's the funny thing about it. That if you get tired of, if you don't know what to write about leadership. Somebody will always buy. There's always going to be another angle. So I don't know if I have a definition for it, but let me share with you what I've understood, my own distillation of it. My own distillation is a leader is a person who has the capacity to create a dynamic in a society, dynamic in an organization, dynamic that shapes worldview, that shapes values and beliefs, that shapes what's possible, and that shapes people's actions. That really is the effect of leadership. So leadership is like that gravitational force that protrudes outward, that allows to shape people's reality. To creating a dynamic means a leader, by their virtue of who they are, can make an organization a productive, happy, ambitious, aligned space, right? That's all creating a dynamic. You remove them, that force field goes away, like Star Wars, right? You remove them and that force field goes away. Leaders can also create a dynamic of self-belief and empowerment. We have one such leader on the call who can create a dynamic, who has persistently created a dynamic. I mean, just in case you didn't guess, I'm talking about Dr. Ajay, who can create a dynamic of empowerment, that you can take a ball and run with it,
Yes, yes.
and empowerment and self-belief that yeah, you can do it. So that, to my mind, is leadership. Now, then becomes the question is what's conscious leadership? Conscious leadership is leadership has so much been equated with pursuit of profit, right? And has been so equated with creation of shareholder wealth that there is not much appreciation for the capacity of leadership to shape societies. So, how would you think about an academic leader who creates a dynamic of love of learning? Take Professor Chandrasekhar. He taught a class of two people, and he used to drive 4 hours every day to teach a class of two people. And when he was asked, "Why do you teach a class of two people and you drive through the snow for 4 hours, twice a week?"
You're
He said,
talking
"Because they're
about the
very good students,
astrophysicist.
astrophysicists." And all three of them won the Nobel Prize. That's
Yeah.
the only class in which all three. And his students got it 14 years before he did. Now, Subramanian Chandrasekhar got it later on, but his students got the Nobel Prize before that, right? So, what does that dynamic mean? If that did not happen today, we would not have the Hubble Space Telescope. We wouldn't understand about the expanding universe, right? What about leaders like Buddha as a leader? That every time somebody wants peace and the most pacifist and renunciate of all thoughts, the dynamic that he set into motion still shapes lives for people go inwards to find that peace. We are very blessed in India that we have the access to Vedic faith. But when you leave India and you look at the other world and you look at the Abrahamic worldview of Christianity, Judaism, and Islam, and look at pagan beliefs, you look at other beliefs, and you begin to realize that there is a when they need a quest to go inwards from the external environment, most of them turn to Buddhism. So my theory on leadership really is that a leader is someone who creates a dynamic. A conscious leader is someone who carefully chooses to create a dynamic of values, meaning, and purpose, prioritizing purpose over profit, and finding a balance in a way that one doesn't take away from the other, who has the ability to create measurably both impact and shareholder value. And this is an ambidextrous challenge that you have to make sure you're optimizing for impact while maximizing for profit, for making sure that all your resources,
Impact here means societal benefit, right?
it's not only societal benefit, it is, I would say, an evolutionary next step forward. It can be new technology, it can be solving the water problem,
Yes,
it
yes,
can
yes.
be fixing climate
Again,
change,
for the
it
benefit
can
of the
be
society.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, one would say the reason why, I mean, just to double click on that a little bit is sometimes the benefit is not immediately realized. When the leader is optimizing for impact, you don't know how and when will this benefit a society in that sense. But you do know that new knowledge is getting created, a new paradigm is getting created. I mean, there are several examples I can give you of leaders who in their lifetime never saw any benefit to the society from what they worked on,
Yes,
and
yes.
then has become like that. So societal benefit is one of the harvests from it. Societal benefit is one of the harvests from it. So that's my understanding of leadership. And creating a dynamic is an intentional play. And every leader is always creating a dynamic. A conscious leader is aware of the dynamic they are creating and carefully choosing what values and visions and principles they put into it. I'll give you an example. Innovation is a dynamic that not all leaders are able to create. Teamwork is a dynamic that's very common. Innovation not so common. There are dynamics that leaders are more sensitive to because we grow up learning them, the value of teamwork and all of that. Value of innovation not so much. So innovation is an intentional dynamic that you create. There are many things like that. It's a whole spectrum. So a conscious leader is basically someone who carefully populates what dynamic they will create. Sorry, this is a very academic sounding answer, Professor
No, no,
Singh, but
but
when
I
I
think
this was my
everybody.
first job market research paper, so to speak.
Hmm.
So it comes from not it comes from lived experience, but it also comes from actually empirical rigor. I spent 5 years digging through it.
So I think this conscious leadership, what you
Mhm.
have described, it is very holistic. It is not only
Yes,
confined or limited to thus far no further kind of approach. Rather,
absolutely.
you engage and you think of all the stakeholders,
Yeah,
right? And you rightly said that uh, the harvesting that would happen or will happen in coming time, he may be
yeah,
there, he may not be there around, but probably
absolutely,
be creating and leaving something which is going to
absolutely.
help the society in a much, much
Absolutely,
long way and better.
absolutely. And legendary leaders never realize the maximum potential of their effort in their lifetime. The
Yeah.
willingness to give up that attachment is what separates an extraordinary visionary leader and a legendary leader. I mean, I usually ask people questions of, do you know who did this, who did this, who did this? People will not know. I mean, you mentioned two of my universities on the call. Let me ask. Everybody knows what Harvard is. Who founded it? Or who Oxford is, who founded it? I mean, Harvard alumni do not know. I've asked this in my alumni meets. So, yeah, I completely agree with you about that.
Great. Now let's come to something which about all your entrepreneurial ventures which you
Yeah.
created. Like
Yeah.
South Spring is there, then the
Yeah.
IAM World,
Yeah. Yeah.
Ananda Group.
Yeah.
How these all initiatives which you
Yeah.
and your team has undertaken, it combines these all the merits of science, technology, and the
Yeah.
spiritual well-being.
Yes, definitely.
And how it is creating a very lasting impact to the
Well,
people.
it is an
So
early stage. Yeah,
yeah,
I hope it creates lasting impact. Fortunately, I mean, I can say not a
harvesting may
natural.
happen later, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It will happen, whatever it will happen. The person, we have, but I'm 100% sure we are doing the right thing. So, at one stage of my life, I worked with medically non-responding conditions, HIV in South Africa, sickle cell anemia, emphysema, etc. And I noticed what happens when people lose their health. And I looked at the healthcare industry, healthcare ecosystem. It's not healthcare, it's a wrong word. It's basically sick care. When do you call your doctor? Hey, doctor, I want to have good health. I want to live heavily happy. No. When do you call your doctor? When you're sick. So you see, the whole healthcare ecosystem is designed for take care of sick people. Not only that, the whole healthcare ecosystem is designed to take care of chronic conditions through acute interventions, diabetes, hypertension, obesity, mental health issues, etc., etc., etc. These are all chronic conditions. You develop them over 30 years in life, from your decade of from any time, after your hormones peak at early 20s all the way to 50s. And you harvest the results in your 60s and 70s, where majority of the healthcare. So you have an acute care model for chronic conditions, right? So it's a sick care model. And from
yeah.
in epidemiology, we say as a percentage of GDP, as a percentage of GDP, the burden of disease is continuously increasing. We are spending more and more, and
Yes.
the society is getting sicker and sicker and sicker and sicker. So when I looked at that, I said, there's got to be a better way. You've got to. So you've got these two extremes. You've got the spa in the gym, and you've got the sick care. If you are in one of these four categories, I'm not sick and I don't want to get sick, which doctor do I go to be my Sherpa in that journey? I have a health condition, diabetes, sickle cell anemia, cancer, whatever, but I don't want a lifelong drug dependency and side effects. Where do I go?
Mhm.
I want healthy longevity. I
Mhm.
want to make sure my 70s and 80s are as healthy and as productive and as engaged as my 30s and 40s. Where do I go? How do I prepare my 30s and 40s? And the fourth one being, I want to pass on this lifestyle to my family. I want to model a behavior that I am healthy and I want to model a behavior to my kids. So that was really the problem that we set for ourselves. And this was really the empirical innovation researcher in me that thought of this as a design thinking approach. And how do you now create an ecosystem? So these are not separate companies, they're an ecosystem. Vegamed is a company that is the only one in the world that develops medical devices for complementary and holistic medicine that are clinically approved, FDA approved. So you need technology. Without technology, you can't build scale. Then
Mhm.
Soul Spring builds clinics, resort clinics, and living communities where you can actually go and access the doctors. Now, there are two types of people. First, people respond to pain and pressure in the body. There are other people who respond to emotional and mental health, anxiety, depression, bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, tachycardia, etc., etc., etc. So, I am takes care of the health at the mental health level, right? So with SoulSpring, we built a network of clinics worldwide. Not worldwide, I take that word back. We will build it worldwide. Right now, we are in US, South America, and in
Amen.
Europe. And in Europe, we are 10 locations at the moment, but hopefully it will be 25. We recently signed a partnership with World Hotels Group, so we will do 20 additional clinics over the course of next 5 years or so. So that's Soul Spring. So we do city clinics, resort clinics. See, nobody gets up and says, Professor Singh, that this weekend, let us check into a hospital where they will draw our blood and they will do all kinds of tests. I was at a Berkshire Hathaway seminar, and the speaker
Great.
was saying, which is the most expensive hotel room night, and it was like a rural community hospital. You have to share the room with a stranger. There is no room service and there's no TV. So this definitely needs disruption. Then IAM is the platform to build corporate well-being, especially emotional and mental health. That's what we built. We have a digital platform and we do a lot of work inside it. And then CMI is more about when you are physically healthy, you get a sense of meaning and purpose. Who am I? Why am I here? What is my purpose on the planet? Am I living my greatest life? What's my relationship to the macrocosm? Have I resolved my existential questions? A lot of health issues actually come from that. So these are all interwoven together. These are not separate enterprises. These are centers of excellence that work in different ecosystems. Manufacturing medical devices is very, very different from having a wonderful hospitality experience in a resort clinic, which is very different from climbing Mount Athos and meditating on the top of it. No, so you can't put them all together. They attract different type of teams. They attract different types of people. Their competition is very different. Their cap tables look very different. The investor pressure is very different. Exit strategies are very, very different. The organic roll-up opportunities are very, very different. So you have to have a purpose, but then not get stupid about it, that only purpose helps. Then you have to populate it with the right type of capital, right type of, first and foremost, right type of people, the right type of capital, and then the right strategy. Where will you play? How will you play? And how will you boil the ocean and make sure that you have your own moat? So that's why. So they are all, so this, they have the same threads. I think of them as a necklace of pearls. You put one at a time. And there are a couple of more that are still in the works that we haven't launched yet, which will complete this ecosystem. This is what I chose my 40s to be about. I am halfway there. I and then hopefully this will be done in the next 5 years, and then I will choose what to do with my 50s.
Amen. So listening to you when you said that, well, the way the hospitals are now treating the people. So I reminded of a book recently I read. It was a book on aphorism by the Nicholas Taleb, right?
Nicholas, yes,
The
yes,
Bed of
yes,
Augustus. So
yes,
in that book, in the preface, the author has written
yeah,
a wonderful thing that we are
yeah,
forcing students to learn this to learn what is there in a syllabus. Companies
exactly.
are busy
Yes.
designing and devising the diseases for which
Right.
their medicines will be used, right?
So the point is, Professor Singh, what is a disease? Tell me
Yeah,
what does diabetes mean?
yeah.
It has no meaning. It's a label applied to a set of symptoms.
That's a
Nobody asks why.
of condition. Yeah,
You say, okay, ये diabetes है, prescribe this metformin and this and that. Nobody asks why.
yeah.
What does diabetes mean? What is depression? What does that mean anyway? So we design drugs and find diseases for them. This has to change. This cannot go on. This is really a zero-sum game.
Great. So I think we are drawing closer to the time that has been prescribed for us. So
Yes,
two
sir.
two quick question because I think
So can
our
we open this for audience if somebody have questions that they can ask? Yeah.
Yeah, we can certainly.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, just after one question here,
Okay. Okay.
because just it is from the side of our young students and the future leaders. So for young students and the aspiring leaders, how they can stay the very balanced and the purposeful while navigating the intense academic and the career pressure they undergo. So what is your say? I would say uh,
I
the
think
whole lesson you want to give from all the experience and the insight you
I
learned.
think integrity of purpose, I think integrity of purpose and integrity of effort is the foundation. You have to have a purpose of why you're doing what you're doing, and do not compromise with effort. Everything requires excellence and hard work. There is very little room in the world if you don't have excellence. So, integrity of purpose, integrity of effort, and then imagination. Then you're bound as imagination. Now, if you have imagination, hallucination imagination without action is hallucination. Okay, then that's dreams. You
Mhm.
have integrity of purpose, integrity of effort. You have to work hard. You have to set your sights high, and then believe. Anything's possible. I mean, have imagination. Break the mold. Try something. Try big. Try something creative. And what have you got to lose? You just have finite years in life, no? And eventually you will measure your life by the experiences you have, not how many buildings you leave behind.
Great. And in fact, I'm so pleased, and we are totally run out of our time. But meanwhile, in fact, Dr. Mukta, we can open the platform for the students and other members of the audience to put their question.
Sir, I have a question. You have talked about purpose and profit in one line. So between the two, you said yeah, the balance is required. My question is, across the various 90 basic countries which we have visited, is there a different definition of balance in the sense that are there different approaches in different countries or there is something
Yes.
common?
No, so I will tell you what is common and what is different.
Lavanya,
Uh,
just one sec. I would add to the same question of Mr. Khurana.
yes, sir.
Let's go back to your Value One days, Value
Yes.
One Consulting.
May I know
Where
who's
that
speaking? आपका
ध्यान
नाम नहीं
ध्यान is
लिखना।
speaking, ध्यान पाल सिंह चौहान.
ओके, मिस्टर चौहान, हाँ जी।
now all your new businesses are based on ideation and uh,
Yeah,
online model.
right.
Now,
Not online model, but ideation, yes, yeah.
ideation, obviously, right? And they're basically platforms where it's a B2C platform, right?
Most of them are. Some are B2B, yeah. Vegamed is B2B, IM is B2B, SoulSpring is B2C, yeah.
Yeah. So where is I mean, what was the need to sell value and again do all over again for these kind of
Yeah, yeah.
organizations?
Very, very insightful question. That is a very incisive and insightful question. So let me put it this way. The question is, the idea was not to sell. The idea was to create space to do something new. Every structure eventually, hey, now I see you finally. It's good to see you after many years. Very, very nice.
How
What
are
a
you,
wonderful
man?
opportunity. You are such a bonus. And so is Professor Anurag. I wasn't expecting to see. Rana ji, there you are.
Right. Yes.
Okay. So it's more than about creating space. What happens is when you create a structure, structure has its own weight. It has its own limitations. It has its own pliability. Structures outlive the phase and the purpose of an organization. So when you create structures first time, you do not know what are the new challenges you will navigate. So what happens is it's like think of a car with a body, right? And you put an engine in it. As the engine's horsepower increases, the car's body begins to shake if it's not built for it. So sometimes you have to have the courage to say, okay, we have lived the cycle. This cycle is now over. Now we need to create a new structure. With Value One, it was very, very difficult at that point of time to be able to bring in cross-border talent. It was very, very culturally Indian company, and I'm a proud Indian, okay? But if you want to build empowered teams, like for example, my UK subsidiary, UK subsidiary had only two Indians. We had a subsidiary in Netherlands. We had a subsidiary in the US. It was very difficult at that point of time, and the structure was like that. So it was just that. Also, the purpose of any enterprise creates constraints around what people can imagine and accomplish inside of it. And constraint come in form of cap tables, constraint come in form of decision making bias, who has control, and so on and so forth. So these are all real practical things that you have to navigate, and I have navigated them again and again. My last exit, I walked away 5 days before they filed for IPO. I resigned on Christmas Day. IPO was filed
Why
on.
why 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 should we not call you Bevha Sanam? You create business, sell it, and move out.
नहीं क्यों बेवफा सनम why
You create
imagine
business and sell it.
नहीं नहीं यार that is not true but sell it for what purpose for that it becomes bigger and better no so today you see Happiest Mind stock price is trading 11 times the listing price it has minted so many millionaires into it and I was the CEO now the person who was my chief operating officer is the CEO the head of HR is a DSPSR alumni Sachin Khurana he is the head of HR in for Happiest Minds
And
I brought him from
so was Vinita Agarwal.
so it's correct. So Vineet, so yes, that's right. So Vineet is now in the US. We had a nice chat yesterday. So Vineet is doing something completely different. So it's not about, see, please understand, purpose always trumps loyalty. Strategy, culture eats strategy for breakfast. You know that better than me. So purpose always trumps loyalty. I am loyal to purpose and impact. I am not particularly loyal to brands or anything. I even changed my bloody name. Imagine that. So,
Assuming I'm an
ah,
investor, I'm an angel investor. Why should I trust
correct.
Dr. Rastogi?
Yes, फिर तो बहुत अच्छा है ना. You got 10x your return, भाई. You see, I mean, of course, but the seed round was at 1 cent. You are exiting at $11 IPO. और क्या बच्चे की जान लोगे क्या? It's 11,000% return. I mean, in my current venture, the first round was at 25 cents, when my first shareholders came in. The last round that I'm closing out right now is $3.10, right? And by the time that I'm done with this will be $10 for sure in the exit in another 5 years. So investors very nice now. See, employees got richer, customers got happier, shareholders made money, and I was able to set up my non-profit. So everyone's happy. So everyone's happy. Everyone's happy. Dhyan,
Where is the
I
soul?
did not keep a single dollar for my
Where is the
personal
soul? Where is the
expenses
soul?
from my last exit, by the way, just
Lavanya,
to
where is the
FYI.
soul? SOUL.
No, soul,
Name of
absolutely.
our company
Soul,
Soul Spring, right?
So
Where is
Dr.
the
that is
soul?
correct.
Mukta, I mean, how that we
Purpose,
are having enough time, or probably we have to stop. Yes.
purpose is the soul.
Yeah,
So you see,
I'm just pulling him. I mean,
no, no,
Dr.
it's
Singh,
okay.
I mean,
No, and that's fine. It's a good chat.
we are very old buddies. Very old buddies.
Absolutely, very old buddies. So, then soul is the purpose. See, by the way, soul's full form is synthesis of your life. I'm not talking
Got it.
about the metaphorical Atman that descends from the Brahman. I'm not talking about that soul. Soul here refers to synthesis of your life. For you to be healthy, you need to have physically healthy body, you need to have healthy emotions, you need to have a sense of meaning and purpose, you need to have quality of relationships in your life, and you need to be living a lifestyle where you can thrive. So until and unless you balance all the seven key areas of your life, it's impossible for you to be healthy. That is what is the problem with the healthcare system, the sick care system, I call it, because they will just remove your symptoms. What if your symptoms are coming from a toxic work environment? They are coming from dysfunctional relationships, that are coming from living inside a toxic ecosystem. They are coming from trauma from your childhood. What do you do? So, for a new spring for your soul, to reboot your soul, to reboot your life, you need a total reset. You need physical healing, you need emotional and mental resilience, you need the capacity to connect with I matter, what I do matters, I make a difference in the world, to have a sense of optimism, to have a sense of a future that you're powerfully living into. That is what's meant by the soul bhai here. That is what the soul is in Soul Spring.
No,
And
in
my goal
fact,
always, Dhyan, one more thing I want to say. I learned this also from Dr. Jaya, by the way. When you leave, the organization should grow and do better. Otherwise, you are the organization, na? Then how much of it is about your ego or being at the top? You see, I'm sitting here sipping my coffee and having a chat with you. Somebody is running, na, happiest minds. I mean that they will still pay the dividend next quarter. I am free. I am not chained to it. So for me, exit has also meant being able to live more lives than one. You see? So otherwise you can become rich and you can become very famous. But how do you ever get the experience of living as a monk, or completely changing your industry? I went back to school, by the way, before I started Soul Spring. I got a degree in neuroscience before I started Soul Spring.
Yeah, wonderful. I think I would say that it's another life where you're able to live, right? If you leave that thing and make an exit and again restart something which you wish to do,
Yes, yes,
like
yes, yes.
within the
That's
same
third life.
lifetime, you are basically living a multiple life, and
Yes,
again
that's
of your
so you
and
have.
again of your own choosing.
Absolutely, absolutely. I was going to go back to Mr. Khurana's question. Khurana ji, can you please repeat your question quickly? I'm sorry,
No,
I
no.
completely lost
In
track
fact,
talking
part
to our
of your
friend Jan.
question, part of my question has already been answered because you
Okay,
talked
good.
about balance and reset. And
Sorry. So yes, that was a bit,
what I'm only trying
but
to ask you is,
yeah. What
across
is the
90
different
countries,
definition?
are you find anything common?
Yes, 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 yes. So very good. So
But
there are five.
as a humanity, are we thinking alike?
सर अब पहले अपना लेंस उतारना पड़ता है थोड़ा सा ऑफ वेयर वी कम फ्रॉम सो आई विल टेल यू एशिया हैज अ वेरी परफॉर्मेंस कल्चर राइट वी प्रायोरिटाइज वर्क ओवर एवरीथिंग एल्स by the time that we are very old, that's by the time that we begin to realize balance चाहिए वो चाहिए in real. It's okay if I speak a little in Hindi, right? So it's not an issue.
हाँ हाँ हाँ
Everybody
हाँ,
is speaking
हम
Hindi.
हिंदी में ही बात करते
Anyway,
हैं
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल
ज्यादातर।
हिंदी में
तो
बोल सकते हो।
क्विकली मैं बताता हूँ आपको। सो मैंने ये देखा है कि आप जो ईस्टर्न कल्चर्स हैं दे प्रायोरिटाइज फैमिली, फूड, फेथ, एंड बाकी सब कुछ वर्क 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 वर्क, एंड दीज आर कलेक्टिविस्ट सोसाइटीज। सो वी शेप आर सेल्फ बेस्ड ऑन वो क्या कहेगा, ये क्या कहेगा, मेरे पेरेंट्स को कैसा लगेगा, मेरे नेबर को कैसा लगेगा, मेरी चाची को कैसा लगेगा, चाची की ननद को कैसा लगेगा। सो इट्स ए वेरी कलेक्टिविस्ट कल्चर, सो द सेल्फ एक्सप्रेशन इज लिमिटेड। दैट्स वाई द बैलेंस इज अबाउट फाइंडिंग इंडिविजुअल्स हार्मनी विद द सोशल इकोसिस्टम, जो नेटवर्क ऑफ रिलेशनशिप होती हैं। आप जो नॉर्दर्न यूरोपियन कल्चर्स हैं, नॉर्दर्न यूरोपियन कल्चर्स आर स्लाइटली डिफरेंट। नॉर्दर्न यूरोपियन कल्चर्स में यू हैव द वैल्यूज ऑफ द सोसाइटी, but you don't have constraint of your social relationships. So you find harmony with social values. You don't find harmony with your family values or your family
Goes
ecosystem,
beyond
right?
that.
Goes beyond that. So you have more freedom with your career, you have more ownership of your time. आपका टाइम पहले आपके लिए है, उसके बाद वो औरों के लिए है. बाउंड्रीज बहुत क्लियर होती हैं. इंडिया में हमको बाउंड्रीज नहीं, सब सब नॉट ओनली इंडिया, ये हमारे सब कॉन्टिनेंट में और एशिया में, वियतनाम, कंबोडिया, लाओ, मलाया, मलेशिया, सिंगापुर, इंडोनेशिया, बेसिकली द एशियन बेल्ट में हमारी बाउंड्रीज नहीं होती कि इनफाइनाइट टाइम अवेलेबिलिटी होती है फैमिलीज को. सो बैलेंस बहुत मुश्किल होता है. जो हमारे पास डिस्क्रिशनरी टाइम होता है उस पर इनफाइनाइट डिमांड होती है हमारे सोशल सिस्टम की. नॉर्दर्न यूरोप में थोड़ा सा एक्सपेंशन है. वहाँ पे वो लोग कहते हैं टाइम मेरा है, मैं सोसाइटी के रूल्स को वायलेट नहीं करूंगा, मेरी टोटल इंडिविजुअल लिबर्टी नहीं है. आई मीन, आई एम नॉट एन इमैनुअल कांट फॉलोअर और जॉन लॉक फॉलोअर. आई एम स्टिल रिस्पॉन्सिबल एज अ सिंगल पर्सन, आई एम स्टिल रिस्पॉन्सिबल टू द सोसाइटी, बट by being a good citizen, but I have agency. Then you go further west to North America, वो दूसरा extreme है United States में, where your individual liberty, me, my castle, my home. I am the center of the universe. I will do what I want, and hopefully it will fit with the society. So the balance here becomes about pursuit of, keeping up with the Joneses. Now, I do not know what the right thing is. देर इज समवेयर ए डायनामिक बैलेंस. यू हैव टू हैव स्पेस कि आपकी अपनी एजेंसी हो, कि आप खुद सेल्फ एक्सप्रेशन अपना कर सकें, कि आप कंस्ट्रेंट नहीं हो जाएं. भाई कितने लोग कहते हैं मैं ये करना चाहता था, मैं वो करना चाहता था, मुझे ये चांस नहीं मिला, मुझे वो चांस नहीं मिला, उसने ऐसा कह दिया, वो तो मेरे चाचा ने मना कर दिया, इसने मुझे दुकान पे जाना. एट सम पॉइंट यू हैव सम एजेंसी. At the same time, you should not become so devoid of sensitivity and empathy and social responsibility कि भाई और किसी की फर्क ही नहीं पड़ता, आई विल डू व्हाट यू वांट. सो बैलेंस डेफिनेशंस आर डिफरेंट, and within the same society every individual's balance is different, and a different stage of life is very different. You have to choose where you are, what your personal vision is, and what does balance look like. ये $1 million क्वेश्चन है. आपकी लाइफ के लिए क्या बैलेंस है? 18 hour working, 4 hour working, both are valid. you know but the question is, what's the balance for you, and you have to choose that for yourself.
Yes.
Don't allow a
Great, sir.
reflected
Great.
the reflected image from the society. That's my
I think
synthesis.
superlative is the word which need to be used for you. Superlative. Thanks a lot for
You're
your
very kind.
response. Great.
You're very kind, sir. You're very kind. Thank
Thank
you
you.
very much. You're very,
There
very
is
kind.
one question in the chat box from Dr. Seema.
Yes, sir. I will just check that question.
How to overcome with this rat race challenge and follow the purpose of life?
Yeah, what a beautiful question. So, Seema I will send you a book. It's my last book that I wrote. It's my sixth book. It's called Life is Good, a journey of unfolding purpose, joy, and fulfillment. I will send you that book, but to give you like a 1 minute answer, I think first and foremost, realization that a race is a rat race is already very liberating. लोग इसको रैट रेस नहीं बोलते. लोग बोलते हैं कि नहीं, ये तो मतलब रेस फॉर अचीवमेंट है, रेस फॉर अ बेटर हाउस है, रेस फॉर गेटिंग नोन है, रेस फॉर सोशल प्रेस्टीज है. The fact that you can once see that this is a rat race, that's already liberating. Well, you have distinguished it, na? Because you have seen it, that it's a rat race. Then comes the question of purpose of life. You see, purpose when realized has such transforming effect on you, nothing stops you. आई कैन गारंटी टू यू, पर्पज इज नॉट समथिंग जिसको आप शेल्फ पे रख सकते हो कि जी ये मेरा पर्पज है, मैं इसको 45 साल की उम्र में निकालूंगा फिर परसू करूंगा. नहीं नहीं नहीं, 45 का हो गया, अभी नहीं कर सकता, अब मैं 55 पे निकालूंगा तब परसू करूंगा. पर्पस के अंदर इतना चुंबकीय ध्रुवीकरण होता है, इतना मैग्नेटिक अट्रैक्शन होता है, वंस यू रियलाइज दैट इट्स रियली विल लेट यू ब्रेक ऑल बाउंड्रीज. फिर कोई डर नहीं होता एट दैट पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम, बिकॉज we are all born with a soul which is the seat of our divine purpose, that then expresses itself in form of karmic purposes that we live in form of our career and our family and all of that. Once we have actually aligned to the purpose, you are unstoppable. So the whole journey is about realizing who am I, why am I here, and what is my purpose. And purpose grows, develops, evolves, and changes over time. But once the purpose has descended, I can tell you, culture doesn't hold you back, money doesn't hold you back, family don't hold you back, nothing holds you back. So I would invite you to consider going on an exploration journey of beginning to craft a purpose. And purpose is also not like, it's not a moment of illumination. It's not like nirvana. कि बोधि वृक्ष के नीचे बैठ के meditate करके, you suddenly one day you are enlightened. What I personally have understood is that purpose grows, it snowballs. You have to do micro actions that are aligned to what you think your purpose is. पूरी clarity भी नहीं होती. You have to find that flow. आप एक step लेते हो towards your what you think is your purpose. एक step लेकर you get more clarity. You know, it's like climbing up a mountain. Na? Every step up, you see further. You go to the top, you see very far. And then when you go to the top, you realize there are more tops above that, right? So I think of purpose as a journey of unfoldment, one step at a time, taking a breath and making room for it in your life. Making room for it in your life. Just give you a last 10-second example. What I'm doing Soul Spring today traces back to 2009. I was at an HIV healing camp in South Africa where I had like a really moving moment. And I promised myself कि यार कुछ तो करना है health care area में. This cannot be. I remember, D21 में having a conversation with Dr. Ajay about talking about it. It was 2010. I said, I will do something in healthcare. I clearly see there's an, you remember, sir? I talked to you way back, 15 साल लग गए before starting anything. But I spoke to you at that time. No, 2008 में बात हुई थी आपसे that Vanita and I came to you to meet at that time, and that I have decided that health is a big issue for humanity. I want to do something. So जरूरी नहीं होता सीमा जी कि immediately you can do something about it. But once you see that, you just have to first begin to craft it, where the universe will give you. There's a lot of grace. There's a lot of blessings. There's a lot of grace in the universe. You're aligned to purpose. Doors open. Things come by, and somehow and you don't have to be attached. Ki mujhko karna hai. It's like, okay, it will happen. It will happen through me. I am the channel. So that's the inquiry I would. I'm sorry. No fixed answer. I really, really wish मेरे पास कुछ ऐसा ना वो होता ज्ञान अमृत, that I can offer. But it's all I can share is just personal experience, Ji.
There are two questions from Mr. Pavan
Okay.
Arya.
Mr. Pavanarya,
First is, sir,
okay,
what
let me
does a
just look.
beautiful life mean to you? And
Beautiful
how
life
can
means to me
institutions or
is when
spiritual
you are,
leaders
yeah.
the same
What
purpose
beautiful
and
life
one more
in my
question?
mind is so beautiful life is when you are living a life powerfully and living a life you love. When your life is 100% coherent to your self-expression, where everything that you do in your career, in your family, in your social contribution, in your spiritual life, in your self-development is an expression of your core values and belief. You have such a sense of peace and centeredness. Nothing outside the world changes you. You wake up in the morning with a sense of optimism. Wow, good morning, there is another day. And today I will live my greatest day because everything in my life I will do. So my standard is for beautiful life is if you were going to die tomorrow, you would not change anything about your life. If you can craft a life like that, that to me is a beautiful life. A smaller version of that is finding a sense of harmony, a balance among the seven key areas of life, making sure that there is a meaning and purpose to life. By the way, for those empirically inclined, I can tell you lots of research that people who have a sense of purpose live longer, live healthier, their baseline of happiness is higher, their heart rate variability is better, their parasympathetic nervous system dominance is higher, the IL-16, IL-15 markers of inflammation in the body are lower. So everything that I'm saying to you, I'm saying to you with solid empirical evidence at the back of it. But since we're all Indians, I'm making it sound more philosophical. But the truth is, beautiful life is that because once you have meaning and purpose, you have a healthier body, you have more calm mind, you have more resilient emotions, you do not move as much. And once you have all of that, you have better regulation. So you live longer and happier. Second question, how can institutional spiritual leaders like the ones you studied with support entrepreneurial development at the village or grassroots level? Um, Good question. I don't know. I don't have an answer to this because I realized that for me, entrepreneurial development at grassroots level was not within the wheelhouse of my purpose. So anything that I say to you would be very theoretical. And by my nature, I don't like to sound like an expert on subjects I do not know anything about. I can, however, say the work of spiritual teachers, not spiritual leaders per se, because I have no idea what spiritual leaders are. Spiritual teachers, yes, I have a relationship with. I have studied with them, not leaders. And there's a difference, by the way. There are a lot of spiritual leaders that do not teach you jack, in the sense that you don't learn anything from them, but they're very popular. And unfortunately, we tend to measure success of a spiritual teacher based on how many followers. So that's a little bit of a dichotomy there anyway. But spiritual teachers really, they will help you find your inner center. They will help you find a true spiritual teacher will help you. What is a guru? A guru is a dispeller of darkness. If you look at Guru Gita, in Guru Gita, it very, very clearly says that a guru's job is not to deliver you to enlightenment. Guru's job is to demonstrate the principle of the greater whole. Guru का एक अर्थ संस्कृत में ये भी होता है बृहद. So बृहद ब्रह्मन के दर्शन कराने वाला हुआ गुरु. That's what clearly written in Guru Gita. So my view is that if your purpose is entrepreneurial development at the village or grassroots level, a guru should be able to help you find freedom from the maya, from the distraction of false names, false pursuit, distraction of insecurity, and so on and so forth, and give you that spiritual inner strength that will allow you to pursue your purpose. That would be my, I would say, picking on the hat of a spiritual thinker would be the answer. But caveated by, I have no clue. I have never worked on grassroots level on anything. So I do not want to sound like I know about it.
I think we are done with all the questions.
Great.
Right. So
For the knowledge of Mr. Pavan Arya, like Professor Anil Gupta is one such person who has established Honeybee Network, is basically encouraging entrepreneurial ventures at the grassroots level in the villages, and the export of companies like Mitti Cool product, which is refrigerator without electricity, and all those such cases which he has mentored, is largely the contribution of Professor Anil Gupta's Honeybee Network. So there are dedicated people who are actually working towards developing entrepreneurial aspects in the rural areas or the grassroots level. And there are structured interventions by institutions which have created Enactus, which is about creating entrepreneurship among those who can't have 2 square meals a day. And students of colleges and universities are actually mentoring them to make them entrepreneurs and develop the model. And those who are at the grassroots level, are able to run those ventures. So if you study these two, at least I am just giving you examples that would satisfy that how entrepreneurial support is being given by people at the grassroots level, using the institutions on the one hand, which are education institutions, which is Enactus, and otherwise going to the grassroots level straight away, those who are doing innovations, is the Honeybee Network. Probably these two examples would help you crystallize your thoughts on this.
I totally agree. And in fact, in Uttarakhand, there is a brand called Namakwali. You can Google it and see it. It binds around 1,200 villages of Uttarakhand. And that salt of 100 grams cost around 400 rupees. It's exported. It's widely popular in entire Uttarakhand, worldwide. And the people who started this Namakwali concept were of the likes of Dr. Leo. They came to Uttarakhand to travel, and they found when they were staying in the homestay, the salt was so tasty and it was so different. It was not like a salt. So they used to uh, dice it with adrak and local herbs and the salt, and then put it into the curries. And like as Dr. Leo is, he created an organization. And there are 3 IM graduates who are running that organization. Organization is Namakwali. And almost every village in Uttarakhand, most of the women, old women especially, destitutes, whole day what they're doing is dicing the salt. And it's being packed, it's being sold. They have brands in big places like Mall of Dehradun, etc., etc. And it recently got Shark Tank funding also.
Very nice.
Of around 450 crores.
Wonderful.
So now today when I was listening to Dr. Leo, it actually sprung me into the total action of how people are making money.
Yeah. And purpose. Purpose, na bhai.
No,
What
no,
differentiates
you may
this
give
gun
it
is
whatever
the
name.
purpose. I know.
What if there is
So
no money,
purpose,
there is no
na?
purpose.
No, money has a purpose. It's a meaning of exchange, but it's very impressive story, case study material
Hmm.
of grassroots entrepreneurship. Thank you, Dhyan, for sharing this. I will research this more.
Namak
This
Wali,
would be
Uttarakhand.
Namakwari. I will research this more because
Hmm.
this model of entrepreneurship I have no clue about. Thank you. See,
Mhm.
I got so much benefit out of the call. I will research that. Very nice. Thank you.
Over to the anchors, please.
Yeah. So, Dr. Mukta, can we make a concluding remark? Is it okay?
Will do, sir. Will do, sir.
Yeah. So let me finish first of all.
Yeah. Okay.
Say express my words of thanks for a wonderful and very insightful dialogue we had. And I'm very sure all the students and in fact all the faculty and other people who are listening. And it was really a very treasured kind of a thing which we just witnessed. And they will learn how to do a wonderful balance between their ambitions and the inner calling. And Dr. Lavanya Rastogi, this is something so wonderful. So it took me back to almost say 2 decades.
Me
And
too.
I realized that, well, your love for talking has only amplified. And similarly, I was again the another thing which really triggered me reflect. That was some questions which I never liked from Professor Ajay, that he will
Yeah,
give me a piece of paper and say, write down what is the purpose of my life, why
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
here, and who am I? And I was really very,
Absolutely.
very, say, exhausted giving a reply. And because every
Uh,
time I will fill it up and take it to him, he would say, no, 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 you improve it. So
yeah, exactly.
so I was every time I did that, I was wondering
Yeah,
what ultimately he wants from me.
yeah,
Why am I
yeah,
on
yeah.
earth? What is the purpose of my being into
Uh,
it? But listening to you was such a delight. In fact, I thought as if I'm listening to some very I would say another Osho in the making. So you become Osho and you make a lot of money and will create a lot of well-being and happiness. That will be a wonderful, very,
Thank you.
very lasting harvest that the society will be reaping. And
Thank you.
so for with these words, in fact, I must
Thank you.
compliment you for all the
Thank you.
wonderful dialogue and the discourse that happened.
Thank
And
you.
at the same time, I appreciate all the members of the audience who joined us. And my
Thank you.
special thanks to DSPSR. And of course, the special thanks goes to Professor Ajay and
Thank you.
Mukta. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I have 30 seconds to respond, please? Just thank
Please,
you.
please.
And I want to address this to my fellow colleagues at the SPSR. I mean, I know we talked a lot about stuff that happened in my life later on, but I want to say a few things about my journey at the SPSR, which I want to share with you because you're affiliated with the institution. The greatest period of growth in my life and learning actually belongs in DSPSR in many ways. I learned what purpose driven small teams can accomplish together. A team of absolute newbies, people who were 1 month out of an PGDM program. I was a student of undergraduate program in Delhi University first semester, and I was in the room invited by Professor Ajay and Professor BP Singh when they were making a presentation to Indraprastha University to get the affiliation before DSPSR was born. I was involved with writing the prospectus of DSPSR. So the fact that you can receive that level of empowerment from someone, just take a moment, huh? A professor at Delhi School of Economics working with a undergraduate student, okay, first semester, 12वीं पास करके 3 ही महीने हुए थे तभी, as simple as that, no? So that confidence that early on, I received an empowerment. Thank you, sir. I've expressed that many times personally to you also, but I just wanted to use this platform is because I wanted to appreciate what I wanted to say. This is that not many institutions exist where you have leaders like that will give you an opportunity and a platform like that. So the tremendous growth, the learning of small purpose driven team, the learning about empowerment, the learning about prioritizing values over infrastructure early on and selecting people for value based alignment, not just their on paper qualification. And then being able to build a network of relationships that will create social capital. that has been a value that I learned from DSPSR and with SSTR and from Professor Ajay. That has been my constant companion. So I'm very, very, very grateful to him and to my colleagues. And many of us were colleagues at that time. You know, Ranaji was there, Dhyan, of course, and of course, Professor Anurag Singh, of course. You know, they were all my seniors, and they still are. So I have much to learn from them. But I just wanted to say this because as you are faculty members of DSPS, I was there. I was on the faculty, recognized faculty at one point. So this was. Please make the best of the opportunity you have. I mean, it's not a question of don't compare it with other places. It's the people that make the institution, not the infrastructure, not anything else. So thank you very much, and thank you for the opportunity. What a nostalgic journey back in the
DSPSR has
then
been
journey, the roots.
DSPSR has been a nursery for making all of us, in fact,
Absolutely,
so strong and resilient, and
absolutely.
a lot. So of
Yeah,
course this obligation is
yeah.
there, and we are proud to be associated with that.
It's a jungle which has produced tigers.
Pardon?
It's a jungle which has produced tigers, not nursery.
Yeah. Yes.
Very good, Dhyan. Can I steal that quote from you? I will credit it to you, Dhyan. But can I steal that for my own talks? That's a very good. That's such a fantastic quote.
So,
Very nice.
so I request Professor Singh that choose an occasion when we can in person be meeting all of us.
Yes, yes. It would be nice for all of us to get together. It would be so wonderful.
Thank
अनुराग
you.
जी मैं जरूर आपसे मिलना चाहूंगा मैं बड़ा
Looking
प्रभावित
forward.
हुआ हूँ आपसे आज
Please.
So, Ajay ji, please organize a get together when he's in India. Please, I'll
Yeah,
be
yeah,
grateful.
sure, sure. We invited him in last two conferences. He booked his tickets and everything happened, but somehow
No,
we
but
could
I'm
not,
committed,
have
sir.
him in the conference.
Definitely, definitely. I was
But
involved with
I'm
organizing
sure,
the first.
I'm
Now,
sure
now
it'll be a
since the
lifetime
word conference
experience.
has come, he is reminded of the, making the first conference website, ICIV
Yes,
2000.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
This team actually created the
I,
website.
I, I remember that, sir. So
Hmm.
one last thing, in fact, Lavanya ji, in fact, he very nicely expressed and defined the Americans, what is their
Yes.
culture,
Yeah.
and in fact, he defined President Trump, me, myself, my castle.
So the
So,
extreme, है ना, sir?
pardon?
He represents the extreme of he represents the extreme of the Americans. वो सब चीजें spectrum पे होती है ना. He's the extreme. He's the MAGA version.
Yeah, he's a Bhagavad. But nice, in fact, it was a wonderful chat, I would
Thank
say.
you.
And
Thank
we
you.
all are happy and probably looking forward for more such kind of a gathering.
Me
And
too. And looking forward to meeting everybody in person sometime
Dr.
soon.
Sure.
Very much.
Anurag, these five questions have been from the very beginning. Who
Yes,
am
yes, yes,
I? Why am I here? Where I want
yes,
to be? How I want to be there? And how I want to be remembered in this world.
yes. I have never.
And one thing when I asked, once in the classroom to Leo, at that time known as Lavanya Rastogi, why the students are less in the classroom. Do you remember?
okay,
Yes,
so
yes.
Huh?
what the
It
response
was,
you got?
so he told that there is a match today, cricket match today, and something like that is there. So I asked him
इंडिया
few
पाकिस्तान क्रिकेट
questions.
मैच था सर सेमीफाइनल था हाँ,
Uh, so I
he was
asked him few questions at that time, and he said that after that my life has transformed just by these few questions. So
yes
questions
definitely
are very important. When he
सर
calculated how
आपके ये
many
क्वेश्चन तो
hours.
मेरे मेरे होम ऑफिस की वॉल पे भी लिखे हुए हैं सर
So this is how lives are shaped if you ask right kind of questions and if you are able to dwell time on that, and they shape your life later on. So who am I is the most important question in one's life. And if you keep on answering that question again and again, you keep on becoming a serial entrepreneur like Dr. Leo Rastogi. From Lavanya Rastogi to Dr. Leo Rastogi, the journey, keeps on moving from one to the other, to the other, to the other. So life becomes small and your purpose becomes much bigger and larger for that. So purpose of life, if one gets aligned to, everything falls in place, and the divine also helps, the grace also flows, and you become an instrument of the divine to make bigger things happen in life.
Thank you.
I want to share a very funny instance. It's about me. Dr. Singh has habit of doing one international conference every year. And one he did at Pusa Road, at
Yeah.
Pusa Polytechnic.
Yeah.
And it was on convergence of technology.
Technology. Yeah.
So I was one of the people who were working with Lavanya and Dr. Rana
Yeah.
and others
Yes.
who were helping him, on various logistical things. There, the talk on the stage was, eventually mobiles will become an instrument where everything will converge into the mobile.
Yeah.
It will be a computer, it will be a radio, it will be a
Yeah.
torch, it will be this, it will be that. And I looked at my Nokia black phone and said that ये सब पागल हो गए. चल बाहर चलता चाय पी के आता है. And that was way back in 1999 or 2000, I think.
That was 2002,
2001
sir.
too maybe.
2002.
And today see the reality.
Pusa Road was 2002. Jamia Hamdard mein thi
To-
2001.
And
That was
look at the
2002.
reality.
Yeah.
Now, today when I look at my phone, at smartphone,
Yeah,
where
yeah.
I don't need a computer actually.
Yeah.
I can watch TV, I can do anything. At that time,
Yeah.
I remember that conference
Yeah.
of convergence, which
Yeah.
Dr. Singh did way back
Yeah.
years
Years, absolutely.
back.
Yeah. Nice memory.
तब हमने बोला था ये सब पागल, ये सारे स्पीकर पागल हो गए, मोबाइल में ऐसा कुछ नहीं होने वाला. चल चाय भी कराते हैं.
वही बात है ना, ध्यान 10-15 साल लगते हैं डॉक्टर सिंह जो बोला है ना उसको समझने में. वही
एग्जैक्टली.
प्रॉब्लम थोड़ी सी. तो मुझको उन्होंने ये क्वेश्चन पूछे थे, मैं 19 साल का था, तो बहुत साल 10-15 साल तो लगे ना उस क्वेश्चन का टू इवन टू स्क्रैच द सरफेस. सो इट्स गुड, वी आर डूइंग ऑल राइट, वी आर डूइंग ऑल, एज लॉन्ग एज पीपल लाइक यू एंड आई आर कैचिंग अप विद व्हाट ही सेड in 15-20 years life is good.
कुछ लोग तो समझ ही नहीं पाते जिंदगी भर.
Precisely. मतलब 20 साल में समझ में आ गया, आई एम वेरी ग्रेटफुल.
कुछ लोग तो
जिंदगी
जिंदगी भर समझ ही नहीं
में
पाते,
आता.
सिक्स करके आ गए.
I know the session has to end. मेरे पास तो लिस्ट है ऐसी चीजों की जो मैंने अभी तक रिजॉल्व नहीं करी है. The questions I have been asked, things that have been said that I'm still examining. मुझको अभी नहीं पता उनके बारे में. At that point, I am not qualified or competent to even give a point of view about that at the moment. तो there will be more. अगर हम 10 साल बाद बात करेंगे ना तो फिर we will remember कुछ और, from अरे ये तब बात हुई थी, अब ये 30 साल बाद समझ में आया, ओहो क्या कह रहे थे वो.
There should always be some challenge left, Professor Lavanya.
Yes.
तो उसको धीरे-धीरे
Life is
डिस्कस
Mount Everest, na?
Yeah.
Never
So
rest.
over to Dr. Mukta. Take it forward now.
Thank you so much, sir, for such an enriching and insightful session. Thank you so much. Now, I would like to request Ms. Pinshri Agarwal to kindly extend the vote of thanks.
Thank you so much, ma'am. A very good evening to everyone present here. As we conclude today's insightful leadership development program, it is my privilege to deliver the vote of thanks on behalf of the entire DSPSR family. First and foremost, our heartfelt gratitude to Dr. Leo Rastogi sir for his invaluable contribution to the leadership development program. The clarity with which you addressed key leadership challenges and the practical wisdom you shared were both inspiring and transformative, sir. It's really rare to come across someone who can articulate the meaning of life so beautifully. We are truly thankful for the time, energy, and expertise you devoted to this initiative. Your involvement has not only elevated the quality of the program, but has also motivated us to aim higher in our professional journeys. A special thanks to Professor Anurag Singh sir for his excellent role as the anchor. Your thoughtful questions and seamful flow kept the session engaging and well connected. Your efforts added great value to the interaction. Thank you so much, sir. We also express our sincere appreciation to Professor Ajay Kumar Singh sir for his visionary leadership. Thank you to all the participants for being with us this evening. Your presence made this session truly interactive and meaningful. And last but not the least, heartfelt thanks to the organizing team for their behind-the-scene efforts and flawless coordination. Thank you once again. and wishing everyone continued growth, success, and good health. Have a great evening ahead, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so much, sir.
you.
Thank you.
everyone.